Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today, pop up, click on that, and it will have qualified therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay, I want to wish Happy Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and any other happy days that are going on. Merry everything. I love this time of year. This is my favorite time of year. I am wearing my Weird Al Christmas sweatshirt, so yay. Anyway, so hi, everybody. All right, so just to get some stuff out of the way, I do have, my shop is open on chrisgodinez.com. I am selling these beauties. These are 20-ounce mugs. They are fabulous. I love them. Those are in stock. That's great. My What's Wrong with Your Dad book is out of stock. So if you're ordering that, that's going to be on back order because I've got to order more. Also, my other book, You Can Lead a Horse to Water, but you can't make him cha-cha, is also available on my chrisgodinez.com website. I will autograph it and put a little, personal saying in there and all that sort of good stuff. So there is that. All right. Okay. Other books that you should be looking at. Shahida's book. Okay, so The Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People, How to Reclaim Your Power from Narcissists and Other Manipulators. You're going to need this if you've got toxic in-laws. Trust me on that one. This is a great book. Totally recommend it. She's amazing. She's awesome. Read her stuff. Watch her stuff. She's amazing. I love her. Also, Susana Quintana. You are still that girl. She is your go-to person if you are outside of Arizona. She is been there, done that. So SusanaQuintana.com. She's fantastic as well. If you are getting a divorce, Splitting by Bill Eddy and Randy Krieger. Awesome, awesome books. And it's so funny because people are like, are you getting kickback? No, I'm not. These are just books that help people. There's a whole bunch of other books that I recommend. So if you are looking for books, go to my Facebook page. And on the very top, pinned to the top, I have a whole list of books that I recommend. There's a book that I'm reading right now that I just barely started, so I don't know enough about it yet to completely recommend it, but it looks really interesting. It's by Robin Dreeke, and it's profiling. It's an FBI profiler book. So as I read that, I'll let you know what I think. And then other people have been, which is great. Thank you. Put the books that you have helped you underneath that book list. And, if you see a book that speaks to you, go get it because knowledge is power. So that's my stance on that. Okay. All right. Hi, guys. Good to see all of you. All right. So today's topic, dealing with difficult, read toxic, in-laws. Okay. So, wow. Okay. So what ends up happening is that the adult child of the narcissist, right, gets into a relationship, gets away from the toxic family, gets into a relatively healthy relationship, and all of a sudden, okay, they get married or they're dating for a long time. All of a sudden, the toxic in-laws start trying to meddle, start trying to interfere, start trying to control, start trying to manipulate, start trying to, control and manipulate. So, and what happens is as the adult child of the narcissist becomes healthier, starts making boundaries with the narcissist or the malignant borderline or whatever, or whoever is doing whatever they're doing over here, that family starts blaming the healthy spouse, right? You guns, you've changed him. You're doing this, you're doing that, you. And they start a smear campaign against the healthy spouse with the adult child of the narcissist. And what is so difficult for everybody to wrap their heads around, what is going on? Why is this adult child caving? Why are they fight, flight, freeze, or fawn? Why are they fawning? Why are they fawning to the toxic parent, the toxic in-law, whatever? Okay, so here's the deal. Inside of every adult child of a narcissist or of a malignant borderline is the inner child issues that probably never got addressed, okay? So when a child is in a dysfunctional family system, okay, family of origin, mom, dad, grandparents, siblings, etc., that child gets stuck in the codependency, wanting to please, wanting to keep safe, wanting to, and I just posted a bunch of articles today on We Need to Talk on Facebook about the inner child trying to stay safe and getting stuck in either disappearing or fawning or, whatever, when the narcissist is putting the pressure on, okay? So when the narcissist realizes that they're losing control, that this other person, this healthier person over here is got more influence over, the adult child of the narcissist than the narcissist does, that sends the narcissist into, I am going to win at all costs. I am the owner of this person. They don't see kids as separate little beings. They view children as an extension of them and or no more meaning, let me pull this out, than this pen. We're objects to them. We are objects to them. We mean nothing to the narcissist, literally nothing. We are something to be used. What can we get out of them? So for a parent, it's an ownership thing. They think they own that adult child. And of course, that adult child should still kowtow to their wants, kowtow to their needs, snap to attention, ask how high when they say jump, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when the healthy spouse goes, hell no, this is not normal. And then this spouse, the adult child, starts standing up to them. That's when the smear campaign starts. That's when the pressure starts. So what's going on is the inner child is the one that's responding to this narcissist. And what's shocking to a lot of the spouses is that adult child will side with the narcissist as opposed to standing up for their healthy spouse. Why? How old are they at this point? And let's wrap our heads around this. When children are abused or are in a extremely dysfunctional family, okay, they get stuck at that age. So it's their inner child that's running the show at that point. And that inner child is desperate to get the approval or desperate to not get punished. Because remember, when you stand up to a narcissist as a kid, what's going to happen? They're going to punish you. So they're desperate to stay out of the punishment. They're desperate to stay out of the trouble. And it's safer to take it out on the spouse who's healthy and normal, because this person's not going to be crazy, go nuts, right, and do anything stupid. Whereas the narcissist, the parent, the narcissistic in-law, the narcissistic parent is going to be doing the cold shoulder. Fine, if you don't want to do what I want to do, I'm not going to speak to you. I'm going to cut you out of the will. I'm going to fill in the fucking blank, or they're going to be screaming meanies, or they're going to be smearing your spouse to everyone in town and anyone who will listen. Or they're going to be calling you up, dripping poison in your ear nonstop about this healthy person until it finally blows the marriage apart. So what's going on is that inner child is the one that's desperate to get that parental love. So even when kids are being abused, and I've talked about this, even when the child has been horrifically abused, they are defending the narcissistic parent, the abusive parent, because of two words, and I'm pretty sure most of you can guess what I'm about to say. Trauma bonding, Stockholm syndrome. So they have been trauma bonded to that parent. I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. And so they're used to that trauma bonding. And it's not safe to confront that crazy parent, that abusive parent, that neglectful parent, that drug addicted parent, that whatever they're doing parent. And what they will do is they will take it out on the safer target. The safer target is the spouse who's healthy, because the spouse who's healthy is not going to play games. They're not going to be doing the whole stonewalling, punishment, keeping you up at night, banging pots and pans in the kitchen, screaming at you, lying, cheating, stealing, gaslighting, fill in the blank. Do you see where I'm going with that? So this little kid inside of this adult person is trauma bonded to that parent. And that little kid is desperate to get approval. And this is where the spouses, the healthy spouse, their minds usually go at that point, because it's really hard to wrap around. Here's this wonderful, beautiful, amazing, competent person that you fell in love with, suddenly abusing you by proxy because of the narcissist, right? And they're just like, wait a minute, what the fuck? I don't get it. What's going on? And then when you explain, it's the inner child. They have never dealt with the issues that are going on in this toxic family. They need their own therapy. Absolutely. So, yeah, so that's what's happening. And so the inner child is loath to let go of that parent. Why? Because when we're kids, we depend upon the adults in our life to keep us safe, to feed us, to clothe us, to comfort us, to, keep us out of the elements, to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's this trauma bonding going on. And there's also this, oh my God, if I don't have their approval, I'm going to die, which is obviously not true. But to a child, that's very true. So that's what's happening when a narcissistic in-law starts interfering in the family system and starts poisoning the spouse, and the spouse starts taking it out on the other spouse, as opposed to turning around to that narcissistic parent and going, blow it out your ass, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So, because it's too frightening. A 5-year-old can't do that. A 5-year-old cannot stand up to a narcissist and tell them to blow it out of their ass. They can't. So that's why that is happening. So the only thing that you can do is get them into a competent, being the key word, competent trauma therapist that is well-versed in narcissistic behavior, borderline malignant behavior, malignant narcissist, that whole thing, to start helping them understand what the fuck is happening here. So seriously, okay, so let me just give some examples so that this can be clear for everyone. Okay, couple, married, long time, pretty good relationship, not much going on, except for when the mother-in-law would come and visit. So every time the mother-in-law would come and visit, there was incredible tension put on the relationship. And it wasn't too bad until the dad died. Now, the dad in this situation was a very sweet man. Everybody loved him. He was kind of the glue that held the family together, okay? When he died, the narcissist came out full bore, like everybody in the family could see it. Like the mask completely came off. There was nobody to cover for them. There was nobody to soften their manipulativeness or whatever. Okay. Once the dad died, the narcissistic mother-in-law just went, like Maleficent or something. So this in-law would continue to visit during the winters, because they lived in a snowy climate and the couple wanted to make sure they were safe. So they would come and visit the winter. Well, suddenly the visits started getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And the excuses were, oh, I don't want to go back yet. And, all of this stuff. Well, finally it came to a head. This person, in the last year that they visited this couple, had lied like nobody's business. So every day working on the spouse, like seriously, like lying, like, oh, well, your spouse is spending all of your money, even though both of them worked, even though this person had their own job, paid for all of their own stuff, did not frivolously spend money, etc. The mother-in-law was sitting there because, think about it, money is an issue with narcissists. Money is a power and control issue. So they will use that on their child, the spouse, the adult child, to stir up whatever unresolved issues they have about money that they heard from their parent. And let me just give you some background here. This original, the abuser and the dad who died, this abuser was an insane hoarder. Like, you could not, kind of like my dad, you couldn't squeeze a greased BB up his ass. That's how tight she was. So, and anytime that the dad wanted to spend his own money on himself, she pitched a fit. It was really interesting to watch. Okay. So that happened. She started working on the spouse. The spouse then turned around and started taking it out on the healthy spouse. And the healthy spouse kept going, this is not true. All you got to do is look at the bank accounts to know that this is not true. Go look at the bank accounts. So this spouse never looked at the bank accounts. Why? How hard is it for a child to admit that their parent does not love them, does not have their best interest at heart, and is in fact trying to blow apart their marriage. How hard is that for a little kid to wrap their head around? Really fucking hard. So this person, no, I'm not going to go to therapy. No, I'm not going to go to therapy. And finally it reached a breaking point where finally this person was like, go or we're done. Well, I'll go when she leaves. The fear was so huge that this person, this adult person, could not even consider going to therapy until his abuser was completely out of the picture. Back home, 3 or 4 states over. Okay. So then it's like, okay, therapy. Thank God, got in with their own therapist that was well versed in trauma therapy and started understanding what was going on. But it took a lot, and it almost took for the couple to break up to get to that point. I mean, the wife actually said, I want a divorce. You're not going to do anything. I want a divorce. I'm not going to sit here or stand here and allow you to allow her to abuse me through you, because that's not the man I married. I don't know who the fuck you are, but you're not the man I married. What the fuck? So he went to counseling. She went to counseling. They did couples counseling. They're doing great. But they almost broke up. So it's just showing how intense these narcissistic in-laws are, and they will lie like a rug. They will say whatever they need to, even blatantly, patently, blatant lying that is easily disproved, because in their minds, they are all powerful. And in the child's mind, they are all powerful. And they don't expect the child to ever look at the bank statements or whatever it would be that would prove the narcissist to be a rat bastard liar. So what the narcissist will do is that they will, when they see that they're met with somebody who's healthy, who's not going to put up with stuff, and they don't have anything on them, they'll start making shit up big time. And they'll use little things. So this person would, work, didn't have time to go home for lunch, would go buy food, right? And then every time they came home with leftover food, the narcissist would then run to the spouse and, oh, well, she's wasting your money because she's spending all this money on all this food and da-da-da-da-da. And what the fuck? That was the thing that blew that person's mind. They were just like, wait a minute, what? This is my own money. I'm buying my own food. What do you care? Right? So, but that was the excuse she needed. And that's what she used to stir up the money issues. Because remember, narcissists and money. Narcissists do not have a healthy relationship to money. Money means everything except for what it really is. Money is a means to an end. That's it. It has no emotional meaning except for what we put on it. And narcissists put a whole bunch of meanings on money, power, control. It's power and it's control. That's what they make it mean. And so for somebody else to have their own power and their own control, too threatening for them. So yeah, they will lie, and they will lie about stuff that is easily disprovable, but you've got to get the spouse to go look at the evidence, and getting them to look at the evidence is incredibly hard, and they will dig their heels in, and you'll see what age they are. Like seriously, like when this person started digging their heels in, I was like, this is about 5 or 6 years old. This is not, this is not an adult. You're dealing with a 5 or 6 year old right now. We got to get him into therapy. So do you see where I'm going with that? So now here's the other thing. So people are like, okay, well, how do I deal with a narcissistic in-law like that? Well, it depends. Okay. It depends on a lot. So you want to draw boundaries. You absolutely want to draw incredibly strong boundaries. And so for this person, it was, that woman is never allowed in my house again. And I'm like, yeah, totally agree with that. You go no contact. I'm all for it. But you cannot then tell the adult child that they can go no contact. They have to come to that decision on their own. They have to come to that decision on their own. As painful as that is, they have to come to that decision on their own. So oftentimes what will happen is once that person is in therapy and they start getting a good, stronger sense of self. So if they have low self-esteem, it's really easy for the abuser to manipulate them. Incredibly easy. and no boundaries, obviously. So once they get into therapy and they start getting stronger, they're going to be able to decide for themselves what it is they want. And if at that point they choose the narcissist, well, great, you get half. But if they choose you, then they're going to have to decide, okay, I'm going to gray rock, I'm going to limit my contact, I'm going to, whatever. So when the spouse who's finally gotten into therapy and started working on themselves finally decides to go gray rock or low contact, which is really a good way to do it, you're not completely cutting them off, but you're putting them out way arm's length, which is good. For the spouse, however, that was being abused by proxy, feel free to go no contact. Absolutely. And this woman would complain to the adult son that why doesn't she call me? Why doesn't she love me? And we're both sitting there going, because you're a fucking bitch, maybe? I don't know. This is how clueless they are. I mean, they know. They fucking know. They know what they did, but they want to stir shit up. They want to stir shit up. They want to stir shit up. They want a reason to go after the spouse. Stay no contact. Stay no contact. So when the adult son was able to go visit, the fear of the spouse was, oh my God, what if he goes and visits and then, this woman is able to manipulate and control. Well, the good news is if they're really working on their shit, they limit their time with the narcissist to no more than 2, maybe 3 days at the most. Okay. Because any longer than 3 days, guess what? Everybody falls back into those dysfunctional family roles. And that's why it's important to limit your contact. Limit your contact. And if possible, go no contact. And the beautiful thing of it is the double-edged sword, or the good news about this whole COVID thing, is that so many people are able to go, darn, shucks, can't go home. Gosh, golly gee whiz, such a shame. Meanwhile, they're like, I don't have to go home. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, and then to schedule an individual appointment as soon as that person, for them comes back, and then maybe a couples counseling so the two of you can talk about it. So narcissists will blame the spouse because the spouse is healthy. The spouse is helping this adult child grow up and to stand up to mommy dearest or daddy dearest or sister-in-law dearest or brother-in-law dearest or whoever this person is. When there are siblings involved, some of them will side with the abuser, and then the healthier ones will not. And thankfully, in this situation, the siblings were like, no, she's crazy. None of us are having anything to do with her. We're limiting our contact. We're not hanging out. You're doing the right thing. God bless. So that was like, yay! So that made it easier. Now, if there are grandchildren involved, the abusive parent, the abusive narcissistic parent will use those kids as pawns. Okay. Again, the children have no more meaning than this pen. They will say, oh, but I love them. No, they don't. No, they don't. They do not love. Let me just make this perfectly clear. Oh my God, I sound like Richard Nixon. Jesus Christ. Anyway, perfectly clear. Dating myself. So what they will do is they will use the children as pawns. They will go, but I love them. And really what they're doing is they're using them as a way to get to the adult child. That is what they are doing. So if you are going to have any contact with a narcissistic grandparent, let me just say one word, don't. Don't. Seriously, if you wouldn't be around them, why the fuck would you let your children be around them? Don't do it. The kids will be fine. Trust me on that one. You do not want them around a narcissistic grandparent. Why? Because what these fuckers will do is they will wait until you are out of the room or you're not there and they're with the kids, and then they start the smear campaign either on the healthy spouse or on the adult child because they're pissed that they're not getting their way. So you never, ever, not on this or any other planet Earth, not on this or any other planet in this fucking universe, ever allow your children to be with one of these fucking narcissistic pieces of shit. You don't, because they will, they might, they will use the kids as pawns to try to get to you two to break you up, because trust me, nothing would make a narcissist happier than to be able to smack their lips together and rub their hands together and go, oh, look how powerful I am. I broke them up. Seriously, I just don't like them. Anyway, so there's that. So no, you don't ever allow them to have access to the kids alone. If you have to if you're so inclined, and I'm opposed to it, if they're a narcissist, have nothing to do with them. But if you feel the need, then you do a supervised visit. You do not allow that child to be alone with that narcissist for 1 second. And if the narcissist starts shit, if they start bad-mouthing your spouse, if they start bad-mouthing you, if they start bad-mouthing anybody in the family, gosh, look at the time, gotta go. Lovely seeing you, bye, and then you leave. And that takes cojones, it does, because the inner child has to be grown up enough and have enough security to understand that it doesn't matter whether they are happy or not. If they wanted to have grandchildren around, how about they not be a fucking flying ass monkey? Yeah, there you go. How about you not be a douchebag? How about you try not to break people up? How about you try not to smear people? Don't get me started. Oh, too late. But you know what I'm saying. So, big breath, breathe. Okay, so there is that. So how are we doing on time? Oh, good. We got a little bit more time. So yeah, they will use the grandchildren as pawns. You are under no obligation. The other thing that I have seen these narcissistic grandparents do is once the couple is strong, like good boundaries, good self-esteem, good sense of self, growing up that inner child, loving that inner child, drawing boundaries with everybody, not just the narcissist. The narcissist will then demand grandparent rights. So I am not an attorney. I do not play one on TV, but here's what I do know about grandparent rights in Arizona. A grandparent can only file for grandparent rights if the person is unmarried for like 3 months or more, and there's a reason to. Okay, so they can't just, if you're a married couple, they can't just come in, which I think is stupid. Don't get me started. Anyway, we'll work on this. But seriously, I firmly believe that the family legal system needs to be completely rehauled, and they need to have people on those rehauling of the laws that understand how narcissists and malignant borderlines use the family law system to continue the abuse by proxy. So there is that. Okay, so where was I going with this? Sorry, train of thought just went, wow. Oh, grandparent rights. So it can only be used if the person is single and there's kids and there's extenuating circumstances. I have never personally seen it, and it's happened plenty of times. I've never personally seen it work. It might work if the custodial parent is impaired in some way, shape, or form, drug addict, alcoholic, abusive, neglectful, etc. But usually it doesn't happen. And if the parents are married, the judge is just going to throw it out. And there was one case where the grandparents did try to pull this. The client had been drugged back to court every year for 12 years by the narcissist. The grandparents tried to do grandparents' rights, and thank God she had a good judge, and she brought in all of the evidence of how crazy the grandparents were, and the judge threw it out. But she had to go through all the rigmarole of getting a lawyer, getting the evidence, getting a psych eval, it's a pain in the ass. And that's the intent. The intent is cruelty. The intent is to bankrupt the person. The intent is to show I'm more powerful than you. That's what that whole thing is about. And that's why they want their hands on the kids so badly, because they want to manipulate the kids. They want to turn the kids against you. So just Dad's Surviving Divorce, Dwayne Robert, just go to his channel and listen to any of his stuff. He talks about that all the time, not just, the grandparent stuff, but how narcissists want to turn the children against you. So in dealing with narcissistic in-laws, we do not negotiate with terrorists. Let me just say that again. You do not negotiate with terrorists. You don't, because they'll come to an agreement and then they'll break right through it. These people have no honor. They have no honor, no honor. Did I mention that? No honor. They will not agree to anything. They will not play nice. They will not have boundaries. They will not respect your boundaries. And the second they bust over one of those boundaries, go no contact. And or you send the spouse who's in counseling, who's working on their own stuff, to go visit them, maximum of maybe 3 days, and then come back and see their counselor immediately. You stay no contact. Like zip, zero, zilch, nada. Not a goddamn thing. Like you give them nothing. So there that is. All right. So let me make sure that I covered everything. So the narcissist will attempt to blow up the relationship. That is their goal. They have this sense of entitlement, but it's a sense of ownership. They think they own that child, and they are threatened by anybody who's getting love from that person. Seriously. So like the narcissist I was talking about would ruin the spouse's birthday every single year. And that's why the stays got longer and longer. She wanted to make sure to stay so that she could ruin it. So yeah, so there's that. You have a right to not have these in-laws interfering in your relationship. And that's something that narcissists are loath to do. So they're the ones that will get a hold of the young couple that just got together and start demanding that they go over to their house for Christmas or their house for Thanksgiving, or, we're going to do our tradition, as opposed to allowing the couple to create their own traditions. So, it shows a lot how people deal with holidays. It really, truly does. The ones that are chill, the ones that are like, hey, whatever, come over here if you want. Not, don't worry about it. We'll see you next year or whatever. That's cool. But the ones who are like, no, we are going to do it the way we've always done it. And you are going to come over here and da, 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 da. And fuck that shit. You're a new couple. You get to do what you want. Create your own traditions. Whew. So low contact, no contact. So, and it's up to the spouse, because if you dictate you cannot see your family, you're playing right into the narcissist's hands. Guarantee it. Because remember, kids have a really hard time not sharing everything with their abuser. So they will run back to the narcissist in the beginning and tell them what you've said. So you've got to be aware of that. And that's why having a good trauma therapist that knows what the fuck they're doing is really important if your marriage is being threatened by a narcissistic in-law or 2 or 10. So anyway, all right, questions. Okay, let's get to the questions, guys. Whoops, where is there it is. How to keep 2 narc parents from fighting over who gets to see the grandchild? Say no to both of them. Go no contact. Don't have the kid around them. I think I explained why. So yeah, you are under no obligation. And that's fear, obligation, and guilt. If you are feeling fearful because of what they're going to do if you say no, obligated, well, but they're my parents, or guilty, but they're my parents, and what if? Fear, obligation, guilt. That is the universe's sign. Here's your sign that you are dealing with a toxic person. Abso-freaking-lutely. So just don't. The kids don't need them. I cannot push that enough. They need healthy. They need good role models. They need healthy people around them. They don't just to have a grandparent. Okay, well, so you've got a grandparent, but they're completely toxic. And they're smearing and they're damaging the kid. How is that healthy? That is no bueno. So don't even have them around. Okay, how do I protect myself if I'm forced to spend every weekend with my narc grandparents? Boundaries. So there's a whole bunch of really good how to draw boundaries books on Amazon. One of them, gosh, can I remember it? Alice Botke, How to Draw Boundaries with Toxic People. Alice Botke, How to Draw Boundaries with Toxic People. So I have not read that one, but it looked good based on what I could kind of read from the, thingy. So if you're an adult, don't go over there. If you're still a kid, you're still a minor, unfortunately. So you're going to have to learn to gray rock and not take in all of the toxicity that they're saying. So this is the hardest thing for kids. And this is why I'm saying don't force kids to be around abusive grandparents, because kids are little sponges. No, our brains do not stop developing until we're like 28. Okay. So we're little sponges. And if we've got some dysfunction going on and we've got narcissistic grandparents and they're like bad mouthing, being mean, being cruel, being abusive, being neglectful, being whatever, we're just sitting there absorbing it. So you have to learn boundaries. You have to learn also how to gray rock. It's like, talk to the hand because the body ain't listening. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. You know what I'm saying? So you develop stuff like that. If you're an adult, get out. If you're still a kid, there's not much you can do. Read books on how to draw boundaries. So Drawing Boundaries, I think it's called Drawing Boundaries with Toxic People by Alice Bottke, Bottke. So look that up. How do I save my marriage? When watching my husband, who is the golden child, be manipulated by his mom, when I called out, I'm labeled greedy and jealous. Well, it's not going to do any good to call it out to the abuser. So let me just make that perfectly clear. Confronting the narcissist is not going to get you what you want. What you want to do is talk truthfully to your husband. This is damaging our relationship. This person is harming us. We need to go to couples counseling if they are not a narcissist. Now, if your spouse is a narcissist, listen to me now, believe me later. Do not, big underlined under not, go to counseling with a narcissist. They will take whatever is said in counseling, flip it around, and you're the problem. So do not do that. If they are open and they're not a narcissist, they're just, fleas from the narcissist, great. Get into a goddamn good marriage counselor that understands toxic families, that can help the spouse see what's going on. So if they don't, though, and if they don't want to, and they're like, oh, you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem, okay, you're going to have to look at your options. And one of your options is bye, and not putting up with it. So if they're willing to look at it, you've got some chance of that healing. If they're not willing to look at it, you're going to have to look at your other options. Okay. How do you discern between transparency and healthy conversation versus no boundaries and a bait for triangulation? Happy Hoover holidays and mahalo. Hoover holidays. Happy Hoover holidays. Yeah, because that's exactly what's happening right now. It's the pandemic Hoover is happening. The holiday Hoover is happening. Just say no. Just say no to exes. I had a client that had an ex contact them out of the blue after 10 years. Like 10 years. Like no contact, nothing. Oh, baby, I really miss you. What? Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? It's, don't respond. Don't respond. So, okay. So the difference between transparency and a healthy conversation versus no boundaries conversation. So a no boundaries conversation is going to be awkward, like really awkward, like talking about stuff they should not talk about. And this is the thing that makes me so goddamn angry when I am dealing with a client who's going through a divorce with a narcissist and there's children involved. The narcissist will tell the children things that no child should ever hear. Ever, especially from a parent. So they'll go into their sex life. They'll tell them how the mom never pleased them. They'll tell the kid that, they're frigid or that he couldn't get it up or, just stuff that is like, what the fuck are you doing? And so, or they'll go into the kid when, it's the spouse is like, we're done. It's over. They'll go to the child for comfort and be like, I'm so sad. Mommy's leaving me. And then that little 6-year-old or whoever old, 12-year-old, 10-year-old, doesn't matter, feels obligated to comfort the abuser. More trauma bonding. This is why it's so hard for kids that come from a narcissist to break free of them because of that trauma bonding. So yeah, they do shit like that. That's absolutely inappropriate. So things that are inappropriate, that's not transparent. That's inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? So hold on a second. So triangulation. So narcissists love to do this. So what they'll do, oh, crack my knuckles there because I'm about to put smack down on this. So what they will do is they will triangulate communication. They are the operator. And they will go to the target of abuse, whether it's the spouse or whether it's the other spouse, the healthy spouse, well, so-and-so said such and such about you. And the way I dealt with that, great, let's get their ass on the phone and watch them backpedal. Right, because they don't want the other person on the phone to let them know that they're not truthful. So yeah, so the second anybody tries to triangulate, great, let's get them on the phone right now. Let's put them on speakerphone. And that is something else to keep in mind. If the narcissistic mom or dad is calling your spouse and trying to start shit, make an agreement between you and your spouse that it's always on speaker and that they always know that you're right there. Seriously, because that cuts down on a lot of this, well, bullshit, because you're right there. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I hope that answered the question. So anytime somebody's like, oh, so-and-so said such and such, that's triangulation. Get them on the phone. Hey, let's get them on the phone. Let's see what they say. Oh yeah, that's a great fuck you to them. You betcha. Okay. How do I gain power to not let myself be put down by others? Okay, so we tend to take things very personally. We do, because we've had to, because we've had crazy, narcissistic, malignant borderline parents that constantly went, you. It's all your fault. I can't retire. I'm miserable because of you. You're the reason I'm not happy. You, which is bullshit. It's like, I'm sorry, a 6-year-old is the reason you can't retire and be happy. Go fuck yourself. So that was my dad. That was totally my dad. He would tell me all the time he couldn't retire because of me. And, here I was working, supporting myself. And I'm sitting there looking at him going, Dad, I've been supporting myself for like 5+ years now. Why can't you retire? Yeah. And he would continually try to pull that. And I'm like, nope, sorry, not buying it. So basically what it is that you have to understand that when these people do the you guns, yes, there are 2 fingers pointed at you. There are 6 pointed right back at them. They are talking about themselves. They are projecting, because they're assholes. So basically what it is you've got to understand that when somebody's putting you down, they're talking about themselves. When somebody speaks of your doom, they're talking about their own. That's projection. So they're talking about themselves. Don't take things personally. And that's really hard to do. And that is a learned, what's the word I'm looking for? Learned goal, learned behavior, learned superpower. It really is. You've got to be able to go, wait a minute, is this really about me or is this really about them? Is this true about me or is this true about them? So learning not to take things personally, which means working on self-esteem with the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, or You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I like both of those books. They're really good. I like the Schiraldi one because it goes through everything. It goes through like, what are you sleeping? How are you sleeping? How are you eating? What's your exercise schedule like? What are you putting into your body? It covers like everything. But both of those are good books. So it's self-esteem, because when we know ourselves, like, really know ourselves, like we know who we are, right? Somebody could walk up to me and say the most horrible things, and I'll kind of look at them and go, wow, what's your damage? And keep going, because I know it's not about me. It is about them. They have got some evil inside of them that feels the need to spew it out over anybody who comes near them. It's kind of like when I was talking about holidays, and we had that one relative that was a raging alcoholic, and he would walk around the room and just say the most horrible things to people. And I realized he was talking about himself. Everything he said to every single child, every single adult, it was all aspects of him. And that's what you have to realize. It's all aspects of them. So you got to start working on self-esteem, and you also got to start working on boundaries. The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Excellent book. Codependent No More, Melanie Beattie. There's books on codependency by Pia Melody. Beyond Codependent No More, also by Melanie Beattie. There's tons of good books on boundaries. There's tons of good books on not being codependent. There's CODA meetings that you could go to. There's tons of stuff. So it's working on those boundaries. It's not taking in everything. It's not being that sponge that we were when we were little kids. Being discerning, being able to go, no, I'm going to put the filter on here, and I'm going to filter this through and see if this is really about me or if this is really about them. So that's how you do that. Don't take everything personally, because trust me, almost 90% of what, more than 90% of what these abusers say is about them. It's not about really the other people. They're just all over everybody because they hate themselves. Okay. Narcan Law is on disability and wants us to manage her life in all aspects. Is it possible to have a non-family member become her guardian? Abso-fucking-lutely, do it. Yeah, not your job. You don't have to. Now, somebody said that they were in a country where you literally had to take care of your elderly relatives. I don't know what country that is. I don't know the laws in other countries. But in this country, yeah, you can assign a competent person to be the guardian. It doesn't have to be a family member. Absolutely. And if they're trying to hook you into taking care of them, bringing them into your house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, absolutely get somebody else to be the guardian. You betcha. What can we do about the smear campaign? Well, nothing. I know. That's when most people look at me and go, what? So nothing. You cannot control what this person is going to say or do. You can't. They are going to say and do whatever it is they feel they need to maintain control, because they're narcissists or they're malignant borderlines, they're disordered, they're assholes, and that's how they feel powerful, is by doing a smear campaign. Now, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. People who are willing to believe the worst of you, they are not your people. They are not your people. And it's sad. It's sad when you realize who's willing to drink the narcissistic Kool-Aid. When you thought you had somebody that was a friend, or you thought you had somebody that was a family member, and they turn around and just spew this vile lies that the narcissist has said about you back to you. Okay, you've shown me who you are. Thank you for letting me know you are not my people. And you move the fuck on. You do. You grieve. You grieve, absolutely. You grieve the loss of who you thought you had as family and friends, but then you move on. You do not allow that narcissist to live in your head rent-free any longer than you need to. And that means for like a split second, and then they're done. You know what I'm saying? So it is painful. It is shocking. It is disturbing. It is eye-opening, and it is sad. It is. And so you grieve. You grieve the loss of the people that you thought were on your side, and you let them go. They have shown you who they are. They are willing to believe absolute bullshit in the face of all of this other evidence of who you are. So yeah, let them go. They're not your people. Let them go. You cannot control what the narcissist does. You can only control you. And what you can control is whether or not you're going to put that filter on and keep them, keep the narcissist out. So, okay. In a culture that condones physical and sexual aggression to female children and adults, how can we dissociate enough not to feel too repulsed? I'm not sure I understand your question. So, okay, in a culture that condones physical and sexual aggression to female children and adults, how can we dissociate enough not to feel repulsed? I think feeling repulsed is actually a really good thing, because it motivates people to do action. So in this case, if you're talking about, sex trafficking, pedophilia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I would allow the repulsion to motivate you to do something. So for me, when I see shit going down that I'm just like, oh, hell no. I will get on to my computer. I will mass email, whoever is in charge, politicians, senators, state senators, representatives, congressmen, whatever. And I will just send, okay, this is what's going on. This is what needs to happen. I am your constituent. This is not good. I am not happy. What the fuck are you going to do about it? Okay, I don't say fuck, but well, I say fuck here, but I don't say fuck there. So, you do something. You do something. What can you do? What can you do? And if you feel so inclined, you could donate to nonprofits that combat that very thing. Women's shelters are always looking for help. They need clothing, they need supplies, they need shampoo, conditioner, toothbrushes, socks. And if there's little ones involved, they need hygiene stuff as well. So you do something. You take that repulsion and you put it into action. And that is the best way to deal with that, because change only happens through action. Let me just say that again. Change only happens through action. You can sit here and go, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. But if you don't do anything about it, it's always going to be the same. So you take that repulsion and you go, motherfucker, here we go. I'm going to fix this, or at least fix this part of it, or fix the part that I can. And you go do it. So that's how you deal with that. You don't want to dissociate. You don't. I mean, yes, there are horrible things that happen in this world, and I let every single horrible thing motivate me to do something. It's like, if I see something that's like animal rights, something is going on, animals are being used in these horrible dog fighting rings and things like that. Okay, where is this state where this happened? Great, who's the representative there? Look, I'm not from your state, but here's the deal. I'm a counselor, and mutilating animals leads to mutilating people because that's how it works. Duh. Anybody who's ever studied abnormal psychology would know that. So politicians, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Every single politician should be educated in psychology. They really should. So should the judges. Don't get me started. Too late. Okay, breathe. Okay, so yes, you don't ever want to be numb. You don't want to dissociate. You want to allow that to repulse you, to anger you, because it's fear. It's fear. Oh my God, this horrible thing is happening. I'm angry. Great. What can I do with that? Well, I'm going to go donate. Oh, okay. I'm going to go contact this congressman. Okay. I'm going to go affiliate myself with this charity. I'm going to go do. That's the thing. It's like with any mental health issue, it's great to conceptualize it. It's great to intellectualize it. Then you got to put it into action. Always put it into action. Don't allow yourself to go numb. Put it into action. Hope that answered the question. Can you go back over inner child trauma bonding? I'm divorced, but still trying to unravel how I got here and what is keeping me in my head. Okay, so when we are growing up, all of us have an inner child. And if it's a healthy inner child, then that is the joie de vivre. That is the part of us that allows us to be childlike wonder. It's like, it's Christmas, and we have fun with that, okay? If we have a inner child that was damaged growing up, that we had parents that were neglectful or abusive, that inner child gets stuck at whatever age that happened, and that little kid then starts running the show and doing the behaviors that they did when they were a little kid to keep them safe. So again, there's a great article that I posted on We Need to Talk on Facebook. So Elephant Journal has got some really good writers and some really good posts. So I would strongly suggest you go find that post and read that. So the trauma bonding is when the abuser, and this happens not just with children, it can happen with adults, when the abuser does the intermittent positive rewards. I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. So sometimes they're nice and sometimes they're not. This is what they did in the POW camps in Vietnam as well. Sometimes the guards were kind and sometimes they beat the living shit out of everybody. And what that would do is that would make the prisoners, the target of abuse, malleable to wanting to please the abuser. That's trauma bonding. So Stockholm Syndrome in 1970, I'm going to get the time wrong. I think it was 71, maybe 72. A bank in Stockholm, Sweden was robbed and they took hostages. They only had the hostages for a week, but by the time the SWAT team was able to get in there to rescue them, the hostages surrounded the hostage takers. No, don't hurt them. They're our friends. Why? Because the hostage takers would do intermittent positive rewards throughout this entire week, sometimes holding a gun to their head. No, I really like you. I'm not going to kill you. Well, maybe I am going to kill you. Well, no, I really like you. I'm not going to kill you. That kind of thing. Psychological torture, basically, is what it is. Love you, love you, love you. Hate you, hate you, hate you. Love you, love you, love you. Hate you, hate you, hate you. And so the inner child really tries to get the approval of that crazy person who's sometimes liking them and sometimes not. So it's very damaging. This is what keeps us bonded. This is what keeps us stuck with abusers. This is why it is so goddamn hard to leave. This is why it takes, on average, 7 times leaving, even a family of origin, finally to get the fuck away to be on your own, because that trauma bonding is so strong and that desire to get the approval is so strong. That's what needs to be broken. And that's where a good trauma therapist comes in to help the person see how dysfunctional this is, that this is not normal, this is not how normal people function, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I hope that explained it. So you would be wise to work on CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. The other one is the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. That is a great one to work through whatever childhood stuff is going on. Oh, what do you do if there is a therapist who is being sexually aggressive? Oh my God, you report them. You absolutely report them. If they're having sex with their clients, you report them. It's in the code of ethics. It's like you do not have sex with your client because there's a power differential. Okay, there's a huge power differential. When I was going through school, that's a whole story. When I was going through school, we were doing our ethics class, right? And I loved our teacher because she put the fear of God into everybody. But we had this one student that was a narcissist, completely NPD, total, diagnosable. Yeah. Did I mention that a lot of people go into the master's program to figure themselves out as opposed to how can I serve? How can I help humanity? That kind of thing. So we're in the ethics part of the class. And this one student was just like, but I don't understand. Why can't I date my clients? And the rest of us are just looking at her like, I'm sorry, what? What? Why are you here? You know, come to find out years later, she got in trouble with the board for inappropriate sexual behavior with a client. And it just, so other therapists are mandated to report other therapists. So if you know of a therapist, but it has to be somebody that you're actually seeing. So don't just send it to me because I'm not going to go to the board for you. But, you know, if like your therapist is aware that a previous therapist was sexually abusive, they have to report them. They are state mandated. They have to report that. They have to go to the board. They have to report that. So, and again, you don't want to sugarcoat that. You don't want to dissociate. You want to do something. So, yeah. So I hope that answered the question because yeah, there are bad therapists out there, guys. There are massively bad therapists out there that have no business being in my profession. And I'm thrilled when they get kicked out. So yeah, that will take sexual advantage of clients, that will barter with clients, that will borrow money from clients, that will, yeah, all sorts of weird shit. No. So there is that. What creates a flying monkey? That's a good question. So flying monkeys are one of two things. Flying monkeys are, hold on, need water. Oh. Flying monkeys are one of two things. They are either people who just do not understand how abuse works. Like literally, it's so hard to get people who have never been around a narcissistic abuser because it's so hard to understand that what they are doing is 100% in fucking intentional. Absolutely 100%. They know what they're doing. And in fact, we're going to talk more about that next week. So, I'll tell you what that is when we're getting there. But yeah, they know what they're doing. They're not innocent in there. They're just like, oops, I did this horrible thing. No, they know exactly what the fuck they're doing. So it's really hard to get healthy people to wrap their heads around the idea of somebody being that intentionally fucking goddamn evil, because they are. So yeah, it's really hard for people to understand. Yeah, this is intentional. Yeah, they are doing this on purpose. Oh, there's an agenda. You betcha. So there's either people that just are having a hard time understanding because they've never been around it. Because it is hard to conceptualize things until you've been through it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't, but it's a little harder to get it if you haven't been through it. Does that make sense? Which is why I'm saying it's really good to find a therapist that understands this stuff, like personally understands this stuff, so that they get it. Does that make sense? So the other kind of flying monkey is a narcissist themselves, a minor narcissist. So you've got the major narcissist who's got the diagnosable 5 of the 9 traits. There we go. And then you've got the flying monkeys who've got maybe 3 or 4 of the traits. Not quite full blown, but they've got strong traits. Minor to the major. And they want to be associated with that kind of power. That's what creates a flying monkey. So those are the 2 kinds. Anyway. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions? No. All right. So to recap. Narcissistic in-laws will do anything they can to break up the marriage. That's how they get their rocks off. Oh, look how powerful I am. I was able to break up this marriage. Ha, ha, ha. Now I can have the son or the daughter all to myself and they can take care of me. It's kind of like, there's an old movie called like Water for Chocolate. And it was about this narcissistic mom that insisted the youngest daughter take care of her. Beautiful movie. Terribly tragic, terribly sad. Loved it. So kind of like that, it's like, I'm going to control your life. I'm going to rule your life. I'm the boss of you. That kind of, I own you. You are my child and I own you. So, you want to help the adult child, your spouse, get into a goddamn good trauma therapist that understands toxic dysfunctional families so that they can start seeing what's going on. If they refuse to go to therapy, you don't have the chance of an ice cube in hell. It's not going to work because this person is going to keep working on them and keep dripping the poison, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Gray rock is best, when dealing with them. No contact is best. But if you have to have contact with them, gray rock, don't give them any emotional supply. And keep working on your own therapy, self-esteem, boundaries, self-esteem workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker. They need to be, the spouse, the adult child needs to be in their own therapy, and you guys need to be in couples therapy. Now, if this person is a real narcissist and they start using stuff in couples therapy against you, stop the couples therapy, be done. So there that is. Whew. It's a lot. Narcissistic in-laws are a bitch. They really are. And it's hard, especially when you've married this person and you're like, I love this person. This person's amazing. And then the narcissist starts working on them and they turn into somebody you don't even recognize. That's what narcissists do. They want them to be little mini me's. And that's why they turn around and take it out on you, because you're the safer target. Don't allow it. Don't allow it. Do not allow it. Insist on therapy. Okay, so next week I want to talk about how dangerous are they? Disordered people. How dangerous are they? Do they know what they're doing? Spoiler alert, yes. Why they do what they do. What's going on? Why is this stalking happening? Why do they blow up the phone? Why do they do all of this stuff? Is it dangerous? We're going to talk about all of that, okay? All right, my loves, have a wonderful week. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Be safe out there. Wear your mask. Don't get COVID. I don't want anybody to die. That would be horrible. So there it is. I love you guys. Be good. Talk to you later. Bye.